All right, hello. I just recorded for half an hour. There's so much stuff you can say about this league. I just started ranting about the economy and degenerate strategies and everything. And I just wanted to hit you guys with something a little bit shorter. We'll talk really, really quickly about my thoughts on the league. I'll try to collate them to something a little bit more digestible. This is kind of my end of the league. I do this every single league after I hit my 40 out of 40, kind of do a little bit of a retrospective on the things that have happened. Just so much has happened. We're just going to have to do a rapid fire to try to keep this. I want to keep this video around 10 to 15 minutes max. So we're going to go rapid fire. But first, two very important things. First up is I started streaming on YouTube. So you guys can watch me here live when I'm streaming instead of on Twitch. I know a lot of you guys don't like Twitch. I don't blame you. And you can stay away from all the dirty Twitchers and hang out here. The other nice thing is if you prefer a non-music stream, because I can't play music anyway on YouTube, you can watch here too, so you can get two different variations on that. And yeah, over 2,000 of you guys actually joined. I didn't even advertise it. Joined watching me on stream yesterday, and that was awesome. We finished our 40 out of 40. And then the other second thing that is really, really big news is me, Pelstron, and Captain Lance will be interviewing Jonathan next Monday. I'll put the exact time in the pinned comment below. But next Monday on the 29th of April about Path of Exile 2. Let me know in the comments below any questions, things that you want me to ask about. I already have a whole document of ideas and stuff that I want to talk about. So that will be coming on next Monday. So anyway, without further ado, let's start talking about this very contentious, very weird league. Okay, so we're going to rapid fire this. Starting off, we're going to talk about T17 maps. We're just going to start with the base game, the big changes. So T17 maps were added to the game as a stepping stone between Ubers. And it was supposed to, you can work towards getting your Uber fights, and it was aspirational content, yada, yada, yada. And I'm going to call that a big fat F for failure, because T17s are effing hard. On release, they were not modifiable. They were absolutely way too hard for most builds to run. They would brick nearly every single build, and you basically just had to hope that you dropped a good one, or you had to trade for one that you could run on your build. And then you drop 1 to 3 fragments to fight an Uber, and then you need up to 5 of those to fight an Uber itself. I believe in a video just a couple days ago, Mathel said he farmed for weeks and he didn't even have enough fragments to run a single Uber fight, which I think is a pretty massive failure, particularly since Ubers now they're not aspirational whatsoever. Ubers have baseline items that many builds really, really want, that are just, the way that we think about this, the way that the game is balanced difficulty-wise, we need these items, or we really want these items at least to complete our builds. So yeah, that's I'm going to call that a pretty big failure. Also, T17 maps drop, you can just see right here, 50% more scarabs, 92% pack size, 134 quant. It gets even crazier. Some of them will have a more currency multiplier. See if we can find one of these. Right here, 70% more currency, 103% more scarabs. These are more multipliers that just drop insane loot. If you care about doing big boy farming, you run T17 maps. T16 maps, leave them in the dust. You don't even care about that trash. You're running T17 maps, and you are paying a lot of money for each map. People are paying up to 10 divines plus for perfectly rolled or well-rolled T17 maps. They are the future of farming, and they're very, very hard. So the baseline, the floor of where builds are feeling acceptable has raised significantly, which I think really hurts the ability for people to run, baseline, weird, random builds. And now you're forced to kind of, I don't want to say checklist, but you want to hit a lot of these baseline numbers, baseline comfort to farm, or at least have a build that can farm the end game stuff, exacerbating the knowledge gap in the accessibility of the true end game. The true end game is getting pushed further away, and people that just want to log in and play for a couple hours, they're feeling kind of left behind. And that has left us with a very strong feeling of FOMO for a lot of people. So I've heard a lot of people telling me in my chat and in the YouTube comments that the game is just getting overwhelming with complexity. Baseline strategies, I'll just quickly touch on the fact that Elva, June, and just even Harvest without Scarabs. If you run Harvest without Scarabs right now, because we lost back to basics, Expedition, they're okay, but your relative buying power that you're going to get right now doing little casual Elk and Go type of stuff is basically just way, way worse than it has been in the past. Because next up, change to the baseline is this. We got the new Scarabs. We have Nice thing, I'll say, very, very big positive, is the 3 different Atlas trees. This is not just really, really good, but also necessary, because farming strategies are now so tightly tuned to the scarabs that you're running. And just to be able to support different strategies with all these different scarabs, you absolutely need to have different Atlas trees, or you're going to be going through a lot of Orbs of Unmaking, which I've already been through a ton myself. You're going to now find many, many scarabs per map. You're going to find between 10 and 50 scarabs if you're just doing regular Elk and Go at this point, and you have an Atlas that's supporting scarab drops, which you probably should. Scarabs are now not just useful and not just incentivized to being used. They are now basically necessary to have a good farming strat. And there's some really cool stuff. Like, I do want to say that I think much of the scarab design enables players to play the way that they want to play. I think the scarabs are actually generally a win, but there have been, some degenerate strategies out there that people have found that we're now finding, headhunters going for 10 divines or less sometimes. Like, headhunters are worth like 850 chaos at the time of recording. Doctor card is worth like 100 chaos right now, 90 chaos. It's crazy. These divination guys, I don't think I have any. Yeah, like this one right here, divination scarab of completion. This one has a 20% chance to drop as a full stack. If you're super juicing your map and you get a if you get a doctor card to drop, 1 out of 5 doctors that drop is going to give you a full stack of doctors. Again, full headhunter, just like that. Same thing if you're running with, you getting apothecaries. And, there's Atlas points now that allow you to run any map that you want and have a chance for an apothecary. So the power that's enabled from the scarabs is really, really cool. But now the new baseline of the game is that if you're not using scarabs, you're kind of playing the game wrong. Elk and Go without scarabs, I would say, is kind of a remnant of the past. I've done it a fair amount this league, doing 8 mod maps and all that without scarabs. Granted, you're going to get like 10 to 50 scarabs, 50, like that many, 10 to 50 scarabs to drop in a map. Obviously, you're going to have scarabs to run. Many of them are relatively cheap. You can buy 100 pretty good scarabs for a divine, if you're just using some of the baseline scarabs. But that is kind of just this necessary friction now where, like I said, this baseline like Elva, June, whatever, or Expedition without scarabs is going to be much, much worse. So it's just another one of those knowledge gap baseline things. Maybe GGG just wants to push us in that direction. Like, hey, PoE is a complex game. We got all these systems. Here's the complexity. Now, they did remove sextants, so that's nice. But by adding these scarabs, we have that next level where previously you could just Elk and Go, and you didn't have to do anything else. You're going to make your 5 to 10 divines an hour. You're going to be happy. Now, I really, really think that Elk and Go is, yes, I know it's still usable, but if you want to at least have relatively solid buying power like you could in the past with Elk and Go, you are at the baseline going to need to be tossing in some scarabs, no matter what. Not specifically complaining about that, but that's the new normal. So just get used to that. We are now living in the world of scarabs. That's the 2 changes to the baseline of the game. I will say that I think overall, kind of thumbs up on that one. I think the T17 still need a little bit of love. I think it's okay that they leave them how they are right now, but I would really like them to rethink it. Maybe bring the difficulty down a little bit, maybe bring the loot down a good amount, and maybe make more fragments drop, something like that. I don't know. I think T17's having to be the new normal to have competitive farming is what it represents in the game for requirements for a build, for farming. Just how spiky the damage is and how insane some of these maps get is kind of pushing the game into this extreme level that I'm not sure I totally vibe with. We'll just say that. Anyway, that's that. Next up, let's talk about the League of Clicking. The League of Clicking. The League of Stash Tabs. Let's just call it that. How many stash tabs do you guys got? Because I hope you have a lot. Because if you want to play this league, you got your All Flames right here. You got your corpses. 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 You got your corpses, and more corpses. I have this many tabs of just corpses. Yeah. And I don't pick up a lot of my corpses because I try to just pick up the decent ones, the ones that I know are worth a little bit more. Granted, I should probably just relist these and get these sold, but every single map right now, you are on average going to see 5-ish All Flames, 3 to 5 All Flames, and you're going to see, particularly if you have an Atlas that is focused around picking up Necropolis, and this is a whole different thing, is the League mechanic being based around and balanced around having Atlas passives. I feel a little weird about that, particularly having them in all four corners. Really nice by having multiple trees here, but having all four corners, like having to have a tree that is going all out just for balance, like if you really care about the League mechanic, feels kind of weird. It's like I'm playing the League to play the League. Like the League should be there, and if I really want to engage with it, I need to invest into it, which feels a little weird. But if you're invested into it, you're going to be picking up, if you pick up everything, like again, 3 to 5 all flames minimum and probably 10 to 20 corpses every single map. Oh, and fun fact, corpses, do they stack in your inventory? Oh, no, they don't. They fill up your whole thing really, really quickly. Be prepared if you're picking up your corpses. Going back to your hideout, emptying them out, picking up even more. And when they drop on the map, they're going to be taking up everything. They're going to be filling up your whole screen. You're going to have to turn off your loot just so you can see anything because the corpses are going to be blocking your vision. It is a whole thing right now, and it's too much for me. So speaking of the League of too much of all of this, I guess we can start with the All Flames. So All Flames are pretty interesting. If you don't know, with an All Flame, when you open up a map, you can use an All Flame to change the type of monsters that are on the map. And the All Flames will have a different amount of loot. They'll have different loot. They will, this meat sack, for example, people have been using this for doing super degenerate stuff. They can pack all of the monsters into one guy, juice up all of the rarity and all of the quantity, and by just ghosting one meat sack and just dropping a mage blood every single map. That's what Ben was doing just a couple weeks ago. Insane degenerate strategies with them, combining with scarabs and everything, and T17 maps. But this is a league where there's a forced mechanic every single zone that you go into, and it's forced in a way where, obviously no one likes it being forced, but it becomes ignorable, and all you're doing is you're just looking for good, good boons right here that then you can hit, like, oh, I got convert to divine orb, then I put a meat sack on it, then boom, I get 20, 30 divines in a map. Really weird. This launched with being way, way too difficult, and they tuned it back to something that is just ignorable. So it went from like, hey, this kills you and this is awful. Like some of these modifiers were 2 or 3 times as strong. Ignorable and tedious at the same time, and you're basically just looking for divine orbs, right? And I still have not gotten them because they nerfed it. They nerfed the appearance rate of divine orbs because of degenerate strategies, unfortunately. So that's the All Flames. It's enabled a lot of degenerate strategies, but it is where it is right now. And they nerfed it a good amount now to the point where people are still doing it. That's what's enabling some of the best farming right now, but it's not generating 100, 200 divines every single map anymore. And then next up is the graveyard crafting. Did you play Harvest League? Did you love Harvest League? Did you love, particularly the first week of Harvest League, setting up every single sprinkler and every single harvest plot to be exactly min-maxed? If you loved that, oh, this is the league for you, because you will be setting it up every single time you want to do a single craft. And in fact, I have a little chat command in my chat. Let me just type in graveyard right here in my chat. And we have these tools like this guy. Sure. Hit me with the cookies, buddy. We have the tools like this guy, sudos.help/poe/graveyard. If it ever loads, it might not. Then we have this other one right here that does load. All right. Necropolis.pathoftools.com. And this is the layout. There are 88 potential corpses that you can lay out. And you can go to Craft of Exile. You want to create a recipe. And you want to do all these things where you have presets for a certain amount of power. And you got to put these corpses in the right place. Oh, if I want maximum power, if I want to have additional items, if I want fracture. You have to get these exact corpses in these exact spots, lay them all out. It's going to be like 3 to 4 clicks per, because you're going to get the corpses that you want. So it's like 1 click per. Then you're going to right click on the corpse. Then you're going to control click on the grave. Then you're going to control click on this. So it's 4 clicks per corpse times 88. And that's not even counting all of the work that you're doing to like exactly lay out exactly what you want. You put the right thing in the right place and you shake it all about. It is the most tedious mechanic I think they've ever added to the game. And then you're going to click this, you're going to make you're going to make your armor, you can do whatever, and the guy's going to sing his little song,
so that you may
and
allow
you're going
them
to
to be
get something that's
headstrong.
not quite exactly what you want, and you're going to end up with a weapon that has +1 cold gems. And all cold, even though you had 900% reduced cold percent. Thanks, GGG. It's fine, actually, because I'm Frostblink build, but I wanted fire. Anyway, It is by far, I think, the most tedious mechanic that's ever been added to the game, but it's also arguably the most powerful. The most insane items, and I'll show you my quiver right now, the most insane items that we've seen since Recombinators are now craftable. Probably just better than Recombinators. Look at this, right? A quadruple fractured, literally perfect quiver. Now, obviously, a synth quiver would be better, a double corrupted or whatever, but not counting that, this is a literally perfect item. And it was also crafted with, you just fractured the right stuff, and then you can just roll one modifier and craft, craft wet on it, and you're done. And you can craft ridiculous items like this. This bow, it was not synthesized. I bought this bow for 15 divines. Perfect. It doesn't have +2 proj, but I'm okay with proj speed. 6 T1s, very well rolled. I bought this for 15 divines because they're so easy to print. And then I synthesized it myself in Harvest, and I actually hit some pretty good stuff. I put this whole build together for about 50 divines. It's got a headhunter. It's got this quiver. It's got this bow. Literally 50 divines to put this together, which is unheard of. So the power and what's enabled this league is insane, but the tedium to get there, if you actually want to engage with it yourself, if you want to farm something to get the currency to buy those items, it's not that bad, right? So like I said, some of these items are very, very cheap, but if you want to get to the high end, as always, that's hard to get to. Some of that stuff may be harder to approach for the more casual player. Like I said, the baseline of, you can't just Elk and Go. You need to like Elk and Go plus Scarabs, Elk and Go 8 mod maps plus Scarabs. There's like a little bit of an additional step that's like pushing people out of like the pure casual to just a little bit more to have more acceptable farming. That's just kind of the direction the game's going. If you look at PoE 3 years ago, you look at Ritual League, you look at Heist League, you look at even Harvest. Once your Harvest was set up, people learned how to craft in Harvest, and you just said, hey, I'm going to remove a fire. I'm going to add a fire, remove a fire, add a fire. And just going to do that until you hit T1. It was a lot of work, but it was very straightforward, more iterative. Instead of this one big set it up with 88 corpses, it was very iterative. You could kind of work towards fine-tuning your item, closer to like a last epoch style crafting, instead of this like, okay, I spent literally some of these crafts took me 3 to 4 hours on stream to set up, and then we got our craft going, and then oftentimes it failed. And then it feels really bad. That's why you have to do these things. You have to do this 20% add, so you'll craft like 3 items, and you get 3 different rolls against the same craft to have a better chance to get the item that you're looking for. And then the price for these is very high. I think it's 2 to 3 divines per. So you're looking at baseline to do a good craft now. You're looking at a baseline of 10 to 15 divines just to have the baseline stuff, and then the additional 10 to 15 divines of the other corpses to put it all together. It gets pretty insane. It gets very complex, and the baseline for a pure casual to play is being pushed up in a way that I'm curious if I'm genuinely curious if GGG is happy with that, if that's their design philosophy, if that's what they want, if they're okay with, I don't know, the amount of FOMO that's being created with the current level of, I keep using the word degenerate farming, but like, the very, very high-end farming of people taking advantage of the strongest stuff. You can use the word exploit, but taking advantage of the strongest broken farming strategies as they're being discovered. I felt pretty weird when I went to bed one night and I was farming pretty well. I thought I knew what I was doing, and then I woke up and, a couple of the big guys out there were making 100 divines per map. And I didn't have a build that was, I didn't have a bow build like this that was set up to farm those maps. I was just doing my regular, like, strong but comfortable league starter that wasn't set up to do big boy Magic Find T17 farming. And I felt like I couldn't approach that type of stuff without kind of restarting. And that, like, I actually took a day off of streaming, like, the second week of the league. I was like, I don't know how I feel. Like, I don't know if I want to play this league. Like, I was really, really torn. I'm happy that I went back to it, and I finished the league for myself here, but this could just be a transitional league. This could just be something where they shifted a lot of stuff, a lot of the foundational stuff in the game, and they moved it around, and they're just experimenting, and they're clearly not 100% happy with how it ended up, considering how many patches they've been doing. It's been a wild ride. My plan for the rest of the league actually is to start working on a build. Like, I want to make a really strong T17 farmer that can be a league starter. That's my goal. And I want to start working on it right now. So yeah, join me on Twitch or here on YouTube as well. I'm going to be streaming the build creation process, and I might even be joining Local Hall's hardcore private league to throw the build at it. you know, if I figure something out in time. Let me know how the league's been going for you guys. Did you quit early? I know a lot of people in my chat have been saying that. Did you quit early because of all FOMO, or you just didn't like the feel of the league, or did you stick through it and you love this league? There's a few people that really love that graveyard crafting. So yeah, I'm glad that some people are having fun. But that's it for me. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.